welcome to Finding Your Frequency, the show where we meet people here in North Florida, find out who they are, where they're going, and what they're doing to find their frequency. And joining me today is Sarah Schaefer from Mathodology. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Big smile for a math teacher, right? Doesn't do the communications thing, but you do.
Yeah.
You are a speaker.
Yeah, well, you talk about math, I can talk all day.
All day.
All day.
So what do you do? What is Mathodology?
So Mathodology is a professional development company. And really my main objective is to get people to see themselves as math people.
Okay.
We all are math people, whether we believe it or not. You are.
I'm not.
You are. It's as if in our society, some people think it's not okay. If I asked you, can you read?
Yes.
Yeah. That kind of response needs to be the same as, can you do math?
Okay.
And so nobody would raise their hand and say, I can't read. But in our culture, we feel that it's okay to say, I can't do math.
Well, I just did.
Yeah.
I just openly embraced the fact that I'm not really a math guy.
Yeah. And so then our kids hear that.
Okay.
So whether we have a teacher saying that, whether we have a parent saying that, the kid hears, oh, I can't do math. And that's okay.
So what kind of math are we talking about? See, I can do math, trigonometry, algebra.
Yeah, so then that
lost.
goes back to what is math.
Okay.
All right, so my objective is to have teachers use the lesson that they're teaching that day, but to teach it in a way that we're building other things. So what are life skills that anybody in a job would want? They would want somebody that can communicate.
Sure.
They would want somebody that could problem solve.
Yeah.
They would want somebody that can look at past patterns and then help them predict what they do in the future.
You sound like artificial intelligence, right?
Right. So, I mean, if you look at just the pandemic itself, right, that was about looking at patterns and then making decisions.
Right.
And so
Analytics.
Yeah, I'm teaching a lesson today on adding fractions.
Okay.
The goal of my lesson, the outcome will be that they can add fractions. But in doing that, I'm saying, how can I get this student better at communicating, but also better at listening to other people's ideas on how they attack that problem?
Okay.
And then being able to say, I agree with you, or I want to challenge you on that idea. So how to use math as the vehicle to build these bigger ideas.
Well, in the analytics era, from football, right, to a math teacher, everything seems to be math these days, right? I just had a lady on this show who is a Google product expert, and she said that they flew her to Mountain View, California, to the Google headquarters for a lecture for an introduction to AI. And she said what she saw was a math problem. Yeah. And just a math problem on the board explained AI. That's where we're headed as a society, right? In a technological age, it makes what you do even more important.
Absolutely. Number sense, being able to look at numbers, reason with numbers, make decisions based on numbers. But again, it goes back to those patterns. You know, how did that math problem get on the board?
Right. How many people do what you do? How many are specialized in educating educators?
So that's a really broad question because I started as a secondary teacher.
Okay.
And so there's the different kind of math teacher when you look, and the confidence in the math teacher when you look at middle and high school teachers. Most of my work is with elementary. And I really got into it because I wanted the best for my kids.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the way we attack math. And, you know, you can ask Siri. If you want to know the quickest way to solve a math problem, ask Siri. I mean, there's apps out there that can solve problems. So in what I do in working with elementary school teachers, there's not a ton of people out there because you need to have the scope of knowing where a student is going.
Yeah.
And also enjoy math. You know, a lot of our elementary teachers don't especially love math. They love language arts. So my job is really making them confident and finding that love in math that's there. It just needs to be ignited.
Where did yours get ignited?
So I think back, I was in 6th grade and I remember my older sister coming home and I just took her math book and I just started to try to figure out problems. And I just knew it was something that, it was a puzzle to me.
Okay.
And so I knew that math was where I wanted to be. I started as a computer science and a math major. and really didn't get into education until I had to take a foreign language in college, and Latin was the only language that I had taken,
Yeah.
and it was hard to start. And so I looked at other avenues and explored education and found that that was really my passion. And I just love helping people. I love the math, but it's more about helping the people.
All right. So final question. I said I'm not a math person. You said I am.
You
so
are.
obviously I am now.
You are.
So my question is this. Were you a math person? I mean, in other words, when you picked up that math book that your sister brought home, did you intrinsically understand it? Were you able to teach yourself it? Are there people who just get it?
So I thought I was a math person, but
Okay.
I was a math person that could follow steps really well.
Okay.
And I did what the teacher said, and I could perform, I could get an answer. And usually about your high school and when you get into your college math, if you are just a procedural thinker, you're going to hit a wall. And so it really wasn't until, so I was a math doer.
Yeah.
I wasn't a math thinker
Okay.
until actually I started this work, probably 25, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
where I really had to look at, it's not about 29 plus 17 and lining it up, and that's how I used to do it. But now I think, well, 29 plus 17 will just make that 30 and 16, and I never played with numbers that way.
Okay.
So now I consider myself a math person because I like to play with numbers.
Yeah.
A math person isn't somebody that just follows steps. That's a computer.
Listen, maybe I am a math person because that's
Good.
what I do.
Yeah.
I figure out fast ways to put numbers together.
Yeah.
That's what a football broadcaster does, trying to figure out how long a touchdown was, right?
That's number sense.
It went from the 29-yard line. Okay, I figured it all out. It's at 71 yards. There you go. I am a
Yeah.
math person. Who
You
knew?
are.
That's what
That's right.
happens when you invite a math expert on.
So now you are no longer able to say, I'm not a math
No,
person.
I'm a math person. And that came from 7 Minutes with Sarah Schaefer from Mathodology here on Finding Your Frequency. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
All
Have a
right.
great day.